All right, welcome back. Episode 18, Orange Ball Podcast here, Brendan and Sam. We had an exciting weekend, man, and an exciting last couple of days as well, kind of some crazy games. But I guess we'll start last weekend. Obviously, the game of the year in the SEC, 1 versus 2, and Auburn has kind of secured themselves at the top of that league.
Yeah, I mean, we were watching it. They got out to a big lead in the first half, and then Alabama kind of started coming back, and they made a push, and it got to 3, I believe.
I think they tied it.
Or tied it,
yeah,
maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
And then Auburn eventually pulled away. But, yeah, I mean, Auburn clearly solidified themselves as the number 1 team in the country.
I think after this game is – I don't really care what happens the rest of the year. I think when we get a bracket, I think Auburn's going to be in my national championship spot. And it's just because their guys are old. You know, they got a lot of fifth-year senior guys, like sixth-year senior guys, and they can go on the road. They can get out to a big lead. And a lot of teams, when Alabama makes that push, that you kind of go, a lot of different teams, you'd probably go, all right, well, you know, they just couldn't hold on, whatever. But that team, you know, I think it was like at the under 8 media, tied, crowds going nuts, and they come out and just finish the game right there. That's really like a sign of a very mature team, I think. That's why I just think they got to be the favorite to win the national championship in that way.
Yeah, I would agree, especially in a hostile environment like that and just being able to control the crowd. And Janai Broome actually got hurt, and we thought he wasn't going to come back in, but he toughed it out, and they got out of there with the big win.
Yeah, no, it'll be they have a lot of really good players, and they have, you know, like Baker Mazara's he kind of has that like kind of psycho edge to him. You know, he gets technical foul and stuff like that. So I guess maybe that could be something you might want to watch out for. But I just think they're full of in the NCAA tournament especially. You know, a lot of teams that win the national championship, you look and, you know, last year with UConn, like Cam Spencer as their point guard, a senior guy, like you kind of have to look at that and go, okay, I think Auburn definitely has the tools, and they've looked like the best team in the country, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, staying on last weekend, we were watching the games here. We had 3 TVs at once, and there was one point where I think it was Duquesne and Dayton. On this TV, Duquesne gets a steal with like 10 seconds left and ties the game, and then the guy fouls him. And then over here we got Seton Hall tying it up against UConn.
We had to rewind a couple times. We should bring up that Duquesne game because the dude makes an incredible play to tie it, and he doesn't know the score, and he fouls. He fouls and sends Dayton to the line to basically win the game. They got a shot at the end of the game, but that's a brutal. Didn't know the score on that one.
I've seen that happen actually more times than it should, but he made a great play, and then he just wasn't thinking.
Yeah, which it happens. Yeah. But I guess the next game we need to get into is UConn because, I think of a team of UConn's caliber that they want to achieve that third national championship. You can't lose that game. Mm-hmm. And I think the biggest issue that was like they just couldn't get the ball in.
No,
they couldn't get the ball in. Like it happened all down the end of that game. They just couldn't get the ball inbounded.
Yeah, they had probably 1 or 2 5-second calls, and then they called timeout a couple times. And their last turnover was a full court pass, and it went out of bounds, and then Seton Hall gets it back.
Like, you can understand the idea where you bring everyone forward and have the whole court to work with, but you got to put that ball somewhere in the vicinity of your guy. And, like, I don't know. It's just that's just a really, really bad loss. And then, it's Wednesday today, but last night they were kind of on the ropes with Villanova, I believe. So, like, they won that game, but yeah, that Seton Hall game was kind of a shocker. It was kind of they had won a couple big games, and Danny Hurley's chirping the crowd and calling dudes baldy, and then they come right back and lose. And he's never won at Seton Hall, his alma mater, which is just, it's wild because that hasn't been a great program for a while, and pretty shocking on that one. But we'll see how the rest of their season goes. I just think that was a pretty big stumble for them.
Yeah.
So.
And if they're projected about a 9 seed right now, I would honestly hate to be that 1 seed that might have to play them in the second round. That'd be a bad draw.
And I saw a bunch of the there's a lot of good 8-9 teams right now that they're kind of projected as, and a bunch of teams are in that grouping. Like, there's some 1 seeds that probably looking ahead and being like, man, we're gonna have a really tough game come March. Where, once we get a bracket, of course, but like, there's some teams that maybe have stumbled in the middle of the year, but if they get hot, I mean, UConn I think is one that's in an 8-9 range. Oregon's in one that's in an 8-9 range. There's a couple other ones that are like
maybe Kansas could fall down
Kansas,
there.
Yeah, I mean they're looking like 6-7 now, and who knows what's gonna happen, but they have capable players as well. So I think we'll see a lot of good, and then the rest of the 8-9 are kind of like the Mountain West teams.
Yeah, like New Mexico.
Utah State, New Mexico. Like, you don't want to see New Mexico in an 8-9 or at a 1-8 or 1-9 game.
Yeah. I will say, if we're talking about New Mexico, I think they're a different team obviously at home than they would be in a neutral environment. But they can get super hot as we've seen. They just beat Utah State in a big game on Sunday. And I believe have they lost 1 or 2 games in conference?
Just one. It was to San Jose.
Yeah, that's crazy. And they play Boise State tonight. We're going to go to that.
Yeah, so
that's a big game.
Fun. Yeah, you're right. I mean, when you play in the pit, it's almost like that, when you tip off the game, you're already down by 10 points kind of thing, where, they come out with a lot of energy. And on the road, they've kind of been some of their, the win at Utah State was really impressive because they didn't start great. The crowd was into it all the way through the first half and into the second half, and then they just kind of showed that they're the better team. But, you can't always spot teams, especially in the NCAA tournament, 6-7 points at half, and that's always a tough one to get away from in that way too. So we'll see.
And not to mention the conspiracy theory with the basketballs they use, the Wilson Evos, how they're pumped up super hard and the rims are really tight.
I mean, that's just a nuts. That is the craziest thing in any sport in anywhere in the country. Like, imagine the NFL playoff in the Super Bowl. They give the quarterback a ball that's never been broken in.
Yeah.
The quarterback will go, I'm not playing with this football. It's the same thing like the deflate gate and all that. It was like, well, Tom Brady wants to play with a football that he can throw.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to give him a brand new football.
They mud him. They purposely mud him.
Even in the NBA, I don't think they'd play with they're not going to want him to play with a brand new ball. And,
no.
It shows in the stats at the NCAA tournament. Teams don't shoot great in the tournament.
I mean, you've shot on those rims.
Oh my God, they're the least forgiving rim.
It's like shooting on a double rim on a park.
Least forgiving rim and a brand new basketball. You don't do that the whole year.
No.
And not to mention, college basketball doesn't have one universal basketball.
Yeah.
So like you could go. In the Mountain West alone, there's 3 different basketballs that you could play with on any given night, where either it's a Nike, Evo, or like an Under Armour, I think one team plays with. So like, you never know.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
Yeah, that is something unique about basketball, how there's different types of balls everywhere you play, which is cool. But I don't know, maybe I feel like if I were a school, even though I feel like Nike, you probably have to use the Nike balls. Don't you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's like in the Nike contract. I'm assuming it is. But I mean, I think everyone would be on board with just saying, yeah, let's play with one basketball, because it's kind of nuts to have to go from a Nike to a Wilson to something like that. So it is a little different in basketball in that way. But football, I think they do that, but you never play with the opposing team's football.
No, you use your own.
Yeah, so interesting in that way. But I guess back to last week too. Houston looks like they're probably going to win the Big 12. They look really good at Arizona last week, and a team that's kind of risen above that conference. And I guess sticking in that, like, Kansas is after last night. I don't know what to think. I really don't.
Yeah, I mean, that's unheard of seeing them lose by 30.
I think it was their worst loss under Bill Self and their worst loss in like the last 50 years or something like that.
I mean, I didn't get a chance to watch it, but I watched like the first 5 minutes. But seeing the score, I was like, wow.
Yeah, I don't know.
And giving up 91 points.
Yeah, too. I don't know if it's like honestly, to me with Kansas right now, I kind of get like the Hunter Dickinson like fatigue type thing where I'm just like I don't want to watch this dude play basketball anymore. Like I'm just kind of over seeing him play. He's not like a bad basketball player by any means, but it's just like I don't. They obviously gave him a ton of money to go to Kansas, and I don't think it really works. Like he's just not really. He doesn't really fit like what I think of like a Kansas basketball player in that way. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I don't know. I just don't really see him. Like there's got to be in their fan base as well. Like all right, let's get these seniors and stuff out of here, and it's gonna be Kansas. They're gonna recruit fine. It's not like their program's in shambles or whatever. But like this year is just not what you think. And they were the preseason #1 team in the country.
Yeah.
Like.
I forgot about that.
So,
but the Blue Bloods this year are not living up.
I mean,
or North Carolina, Nova, Kansas.
It just hasn't been great. Maybe that's kind of like a new era that we're kind of ushering in. But then again, those guys any of those teams can recruit anyone they want. They get the right players in and they're back. So it's not like, it's not like I'm saying, Bill Self should be fired by any means. No. But, it is just weird to look at their score and see that flip-flop the other way that you would usually see, Kansas winning by 30 on the road somewhere. So, I don't know. It's a weird year for them. They'll be in the NCAA tournament. I don't know how it would, if they could get up, they could be a 7 seed and play a good 10, and I don't know who I'd pick,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and back to Houston, they had a good win last night at Arizona State. I saw on Twitter someone's like, tonight's the game where Bobby Hurley pulls a game out of his butt.
To save his
job. But Houston took control of that. I think who they have left on their schedule, I'd have to look it up. But
I think they have a 2-game lead in the Big 12. So I don't see them winning or losing a ton of games, like more depending on who they play.
They got Iowa State.
Oh, that's this weekend.
Yeah, this weekend. But after that,
Texas Tech. They get Kansas at home.
I mean, there's no easy games in the Big 12. But I could very see them going 4-1 in the last.
The thing about Houston too is like teams that they're better than they beat. Like that's kind of their deal. They do they're just too good defensively. Against really good offensive teams like Iowa State, maybe like they could make a bunch of shots on them, but they kind of just smother teams that are good. That's that's why they're good in like the NCAA tournament. And against team, if they're a 1 seed, they're not a team that I would pick. Maybe I'll jinx them right now, but they're not a team I would pick to lose in the first 2 rounds just because they're probably going to play someone that they can smother. But that's just, you never know. But they kind of look like the best. And then in the Big East, St. John's 2-game lead as well, and I think they have a pretty favorable schedule, so we'll probably see those 2 teams win their respective leagues. So, but going back to Kansas, like, I think they're 8-7 in league, which is just crazy.
Yeah.
Like it's just weird to see them. Like, they forever were just pretty much automatically picked to either win that league or be second, to a team that's just as good. But just weird to look at the standings and see that.
I know. Recent news we've seen is reportedly Cooper Flagg said he might want to stay at Duke another year, which is insane in this day of age since he would probably be the #1 pick. Do you think this is a combination of, or is this a player just wanting to be loyal to his college, wanting to get those college accolades, maybe doesn't want to go to the NBA yet in terms of teams or just situation, or is it kind of a combination of both? NIL? What do you think that factor is?
I think it would be obviously as a college basketball fan, yeah, it'd be great. I think it's probably I don't think it would happen. Just because like there would have to be a massive pool. Every Duke fan in the country would be like, here's money to keep
Here's
him to
$100
say.
bucks.
Like I think it's a little. I think at the end of the day, it's a little kind of out there in that take, like for him to say that. He's probably gonna say that, and I'm sure the whole Duke coaching side would be like, no, you need to go to the NBA. You're the number one pick in the draft, and even if he did stay another year and came out, he'd still be the number one pick. But like, I don't know. Maybe if he just doesn't want to go to whoever's drafted him, he could come back. He could do like the Manning type thing.
Who won the lottery this year? Is that out? Have they done that?
I don't think that. Have they done it? I'm not sure. I would have to look.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I don't think they have.
I don't think they've done it quite yet.
Look it up. Oh, it's not announced yet.
Yeah. So it'd probably. I mean, they probably have to finish out the rest of the.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Why would they do it yet?
But
the
like
season's not
Detroit,
even open.
Washington, Charlotte. Yeah, probably Washington or Detroit.
What if you went to Portland or San Antonio? That would be
like
cool.
Portland was looking like it, and then they rattled off like
9
9 games in a row. So
what are they
like,
doing?
All right, I mean, yeah, say another year, and we'll take for one more year.
Yeah.
We'll take next year, but yeah, I don't know. I obviously as a college basketball fan, you'd love to see it. But one thing about Cooper Flagg too that I think is good for like both the NBA and college is you actually get like the best college basketball player in the country, like the national player of the year type player being the number one pick, because for the last couple of years we've had a lot of just like, here's a national player of the year is like a big or like a 6'10", like
Zach Edey,
like
Luka
Garza, Oscar Tshiebwe, like that type of player where it's like great for college because he's exciting and athletic, big or something like that can score a bunch, but goes to the NBA and he's not really the mold. But Cooper Flagg is the NBA mold in college, so I think that's probably the bright spot for the both leagues, where like we finally have a guy playing college, all college basketball fans like to watch him, and then he goes to the NBA. So it's probably that. That's probably why I would say he's going to go, just because of that hype to it. But you never know. Maybe he does decide to come back, and maybe he'll transfer to Maine or something.
That'd be cool. Maine.
He'll play another year in college or something. But we'll see. I don't know. It would be fun, but yeah, I don't think it's gonna happen.
Yeah, it would be cool, but probably not.
Another team that's like kind of flown under the radar, but now is kind of is big on this, is Wisconsin.
Yeah,
they've ranked 11th in the country now, and we were talking about this before, but John Tonji, who like all of a sudden has kind of put himself into like player of the year of the Big Ten race, like. Kind of, he scored 32 last night or something like that. But we were talking about it like New Mexico, because he was at Colorado State. I think he went to Missouri or something last year, and then he transferred to New Mexico it was like 48 hours he was committed. But during that 48 hours, New Mexico had Dent. It was right before JT Toppin decided to leave. John Tonji, like. That would have been a hell of a group.
Yeah.
But he's been really good in Wisconsin right now. So they look like a team that could win the Big Ten too.
I know they've been heating up. They won last night, 11th team in the country. Who knows? We'll see what happens in the Big Ten, but I think they're a team to watch for the tournament coming up. For sure.
I like them. I like them, and another team in the Big Ten is Michigan State that they're really fun to watch. And Jason Richardson's son is a really fun guard. He's like a freshman, I think, and super fun little guard to watch. And that's such a big league with a lot of good teams as well. So that tournament will be something to keep an eye on. Just like who runs that table will be a team that's a two seed or 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. So that'll be something to keep an eye on. And another kind of sneaky league right now is the Big West.
Yeah.
Like possible 2-bid league with UC Irvine and UC San Diego. They're both 22-4, 12-2 in conference. They split their season series. Like if both those teams play for the and this is what we talked about last episode, but like if both those teams play for the conference tournament or championship, like I want to see both those teams in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
That's like the expansion part where I'm like, that's the teams we should be giving it to. You know?
Yeah. No, I would agree. Nobody really wants to watch a mid Big Ten team. They want to cheer for like the underdogs out of the Big West that you've never even watched a game of or can name any players on their team. So that would be really cool. The committee will probably screw them. Let's be honest, but
no, I mean it's the same as like, but it's also it's when casual fans are kind of looking over and they you get, I think like a couple of years ago, I remember like Santa Barbara was they were a team that was only lost 3-4 games on the year, and they go upset a team in the first round and something like that, and everyone's like, well, how? It's like, well, they just win a lot of games, man. Like when you get a team like that has a lot of confidence and has won a lot of games, and mid-majors, that kind of lower mid-majors like that, like you never know in the tournament when they're hot, and they just know how to win in that way too. Like they kind of play with no fear, and I like that.
Yeah.
Going into the tournament too.
Yeah, I know. I'm excited this year. I'm excited. That's all I gotta say.
Absolutely. What do you got?
Do you want to play? I'm gonna give you 5. You're gonna blind rank 5 teams.
Okay, let's see them.
So first one, Kansas. Put them 1 through
Lord.
5. 1 at the best, 5 at the worst.
Okay. So Kansas, great roster. I just don't like. I can't. You can't really trust how they're playing right now, and I don't know who else you have right now. So I'll just leave them at the 3. I'll put them in the middle. I'll say Kansas is my 3. This is like my trust meter, basically.
Yeah, I like it. All right, next team we got UConn.
I think I got to put them 2. I think I trust UConn more than Kansas right now to win games.
Yeah, I like that. That's good. Good decision. Next one we got Houston.
Houston's my number 1.
Yeah.
Houston's I really enjoy watching Houston. I know like they're always a team when I'm filling out my bracket that I'm like, because you always think like they're not gonna wow you on offense, but like I always just kind of by default am just like, oh well, they smother, they play great defense, and all of a sudden they have them in the Elite 8. You know, where I don't even really think about it. I just am like, oh, they win a lot of games.
They rebound.
Yeah, and they play like football basically on the basketball floor. But all right, I think I probably should have put Kansas lower, but let's see what else you got.
Next, we got St. John's.
Yeah, I would have moved this list down. St. John's up at 4. Yeah. They're similar to Houston in that way, where like, they play great defense. Offensively, maybe not gonna wow you, but I also trust Rick Pitino a lot. I mean, he knows what he's doing in that way. But so I probably would have them at 2 if I would have redo this. But who's my 5 spot?
So your 5, you're gonna be glad he left it open, but the Green Bay Fighting Gottliebs.
Oh, I would have put them pretty ahead. Yeah. Well, I saw. So they won a game.
Yeah. And
Gottlieb came out and said like he made a video about like the culture and like winning, and everyone's like, what? Like, what are you talking about? And they had like their bench was going nuts or something after a 3, and he's like, this is just the culture we're building. It's like, dude, I don't know what the experiment idea was, but like, I mean, come on now. Like, let's be realistic here.
And DC also said like 16 wins to go, meaning like the conference tournament and then the NCAA tournament as well.
Maybe they sneak one out, but
That would be a hell of a story. Underdog of the year.
I mean, that would be. I don't know. I don't know like the complete history of the NCAA tournament. I know there's been some teams that have done like 11, 12 win teams that have won their conference tournament, but can they even? I don't even know if can they get in their conference tournament. Maybe some of those leagues don't allow those lower seeded teams, but yeah, I'll take Green Bay.
Did you see LeBron tweeted something about him because apparently Gottlieb said something bad about Bronny when he was getting drafted?
I did see that. Yeah, he was. Yeah, well, I think it was that video he quote tweeted.
Yeah, he's beefing.
Yeah, that was pretty funny of old Bron coming in with a little shade, but
yeah,
I mean it's kind of easy to pick on the
podcast
the
guy.
3-win Green Bay squad, but yeah, it's
what are they? Green Bay Phoenix.
Yeah, Phoenix.
The Phoenix.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That's an experiment gone wrong in my opinion, but maybe he'll keep coaching. We'll see.
We got upcoming games.
Yeah, upcoming games. We talked about tonight, but Boise State, New Mexico. We talked about last weekend. Boise State went down to San Diego State and just offensively it wasn't there. New Mexico is they're gonna be without Amzil and CJ Nolan, I think so. I think Boise State's actually moved into being a favorite after those two guys are out, but still, Dent, Junior Joseph, those are two monsters in this league right now.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good game. Boise's gonna need everything they have to win it, and they're honestly in desperation mode. They can't afford another loss.
It's gonna be a desperate Boise State team to win, and the thing the thing is Boise State is really good at home. They play I don't think New Mexico will jump out to a crazy lead like they did down in the pit. I think this will be a competitive game. I think Boise State's good enough to be competitive with the rest of the league, all the other teams, and they play at home against all the other top teams. So, I don't know if I have the nuts to make a pick for Boise State right now, but I definitely would love to see them win this one.
Me too. And I know there's been a lot of discourse on Twitter and Instagram about the fans and stuff showing up for Boise games, and it's just crazy. We can't get people fired up going to the games when 30,000 plus go to football games.
Yeah,
you can't get at least 12,000 in a game that lasts half the time and it's inside and warm. And
here is my I do have a gripe with that. It's so Boise State fans after the loss at San Diego State are now even there was a guy on Twitter that was I know a lot of people who have tickets that aren't going and they're not giving up their tickets. It's well, what are you trying to prove, first of all? And then it's also like you were saying, you can make all these excuses about why you're not going to go Wednesday at 8. It's that doesn't, around the league, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't stop
New Mexico. And then also Boise State comes out and is the athletic department is hey, we're giving away $10 tickets to the rest of the
$20 for
$20 for 3 games, and you get to pick. So you could go to New Mexico game and Utah State game for $10 a piece or whatever, and then the fans in the comments are just having to give away tickets for now. But it's the same people that were well, I'm not going. I'm not giving up my ticket because I don't want someone to go.
I know.
It's I don't really understand the fan base in that way. And
well, it's so crazy because 5 years ago, Boise State was nowhere near where they are today.
Yeah.
And just because they're not even having a bad year. They're still on the bubble, but the fans are just. And it's a good thing and bad thing. You want to have high expectations, but a part of it is coming out to support your team. It does make a difference. The home court does make a difference. You look at New Mexico, Utah State, some of those games you may not have won without a good crowd like that. So
it's so it's such a weird mentality to be oh, we can't win games on the road. and then someone's like, well, they have great environments, and then it's the same fans that are like, oh, well, I'm not going to the game because of blank excuse. But it's like, well, you just said everywhere else has great environments, but now you're saying, oh, I'm not. Like, do you think the fans at Utah State are making an excuse? In Albuquerque are making excuses trying not to go to games? Like, it's just a weird mentality to have that I don't really understand. And, and I think Boise State's, like, since they joined the Mountain West, has had one of the better home, like, records, too. Like, you're going to see a lot. You're probably going to see a win most of the time you go to these games. Yeah. And it's just it's crazy to think that there's a big group of fans that just don't really care to show up. And maybe it's because, I don't know, maybe it's because the football team is way better now and that's where the priority is, but I don't think that's an excuse either. So I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. Hopefully there's a good crowd tonight, but
I think there probably will be.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are all talk with that kind of stuff. Like, they want to be this, like, oh, we're going to boycott now because we lost 3 games or whatever. You know, it's like, no, I think a lot of people will still show up, but I hope so, because first of all, it's the number 1 team in the Mountain West, and it's going to be a good game. Like, you're going to see a great teams, 2 great teams, I feel like. You know, at least New Mexico's pretty much a lock in the NCAA tournament. Like, you got a chance to knock off a really good team, and you have a team that's more than capable of doing it too. So.
Yeah. What we got next?
I got, the big one on Saturday is Houston and Iowa State. In Houston, that'll be a good one. Iowa State's been they lost a couple games, 2 weeks ago. They had kind of a stretch where they were struggling, and they're still the eighth ranked team in the country, and are good offensively too. So that'll be a good little clash of Houston and Iowa State, and then San Diego State at Utah State.
Yeah,
that'll be a good one in the Mountain West too.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one. It's always good Mountain West games. You never know what you're gonna get.
West, it's always a fun watch, and there will always be good games going on in the Mountain West. That's for sure.
Yeah. Are you thinking about going to the Big Sky tournament in Boise?
I kind of like going there.
Yeah.
It's a fun little. It's good environment. I think a lot of people. It's all the teams that play are relatively close, too, which is fun. Where, you get a lot of Eastern Washington fans or Weber State fans, and I think the city does a pretty good job of like we were talking about this earlier, but like also a reason why Boise's a great spot for an NCAA tournament site is like. You go to a restaurant or a bar and it's like designated as this team's restaurant, and there's a bunch of fans in there watching and then going to the games. So I think they do a really good job with that tournament.
Yeah, and that arena's so small, so it's kind of cool just being so close to the action. And I remember we went to the one in Northern Arizona when they hit that game winner to beat the number 1 Eastern team, which is cool. But yeah, we're gonna have to go support Eastern for sure.
Yeah, that'll be fun to watch. And
McGuire.
Yeah, like you said, like small arena, but like small but electric in that way. And it's conference tournament basketball, so teams that are desperate to win, and there's always a lot of fans from each team, which is for some people it's probably surprising, but for some of those fan bases it's really not.
Yeah. It's always best time of the year,
Yeah.
Best time of the year coming up.
Yeah, we're getting close, man. What is it? The 19th of February, so like a couple more weeks, and we'll be watching those games and starting to see teams clinch their spot in the NCAA tournament. And dude, it's gonna be really exciting. I'm excited for the Mountain West, obviously, just because I definitely do think in Vegas it's going to be a lot of teams could win it, and I think last year was kind of the one year where it was like you had 4 teams that were really good, and then New Mexico gets hot. I think any team like that could get kind of rolling down in Vegas, which will be fun to watch too.
Yeah. No, I'm excited. You got anything else before we wrap up?
That's all I got, man.
Sweet. Well, thanks for watching. We'll be
Yeah.
back again next week. Just enjoy your weekend and watch some hoops.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.